You know, tonight's amazing community of SolstiCelebrators has fashioned an amazing tribute to John Lennon on the 30th anniversary of his passage. You know, in the depth of winter, it quiets and it gives us a time to remember our losses and to remember what endured and the concepts that John Lennon and the Beatles championed, such as peace, love, transcendence, creativity, and understanding. These have endured, and tonight we will celebrate them. My first encounter with John Lennon and the Beatles was around third grade. It was one of those long, boring assemblies, blah, 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 you know. And until someone mentioned the upcoming appearance of the Beatles in Dallas. All the girls in the auditorium went bat crap crazy. They're screaming and jumping up and down and hugging each other, and some of the guys too. It was complete cacophony for like 5 minutes, you know. The principal on the stage, he just looked so lost, you know. And I was lost too. I just couldn't wrap my head around Beatlemania, you know. I mean, if all the popular girls are into it, then it's not gonna be for me. You know, I'm a contrarian, you know, I can't do that, you know. So I paid little attention to the Beatles through A Hard Day's Night and Help, although I just loved that flippant attitude. But then I heard that sitar on Rubber Soul, and I wondered. And then came Revolver. Now that got my attention. I loved the exuberant freedom, the relentless tweaking of the status quo, but it was the philosophical turn in their lyrics that ignited my mind. Hearing John Lennon's voice in Tomorrow Never Comes totally electrified me. I mean, here I was, a middle-class girl in North Dallas, which in 1968 was still clinging to the Eisenhower 50s. And here's this British dude, and he's showing me a whole nother world. You know, unlike my religion of the time, he made sense to me in his nonsensical way.
Surrender to the void. You may see the meaning of within, but listen to the colors of your dreams, or play the game existence to the end.
This idea of pure believing and pure being, the thought that spirituality was all wrapped up in a paradox, I had no idea how hungry I was until I had a taste of that. Then came Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and I remember thinking, okay, we are really on to something here. Or we're really on something here. But it was Magical Mystery Tour, as promised, that came to take me away. You know, back then we discovered things through music. We didn't have the internet. The mystical meanderings continued in the White Album and Yellow Submarine with messages of global cultures and universal spirituality, all the while highlighting the natural earth that we share. As the 60s unfolded, the Vietnam War escalated, and along with it, the tensions and frustrations of a draft-age generation. America was in turmoil, was violent, but out of the den came Lennon's voice on revolution. If you talk about destruction, you can count me out. With its mashup of musical styles, Abbey Road foretold the disbanding of the Beatles, but not of Lennon's music. During the breakup, he joined with Yoko Ono to create Give Peace a Chance. And in the winter of '72, Happy Christmas, War is Over. The 60s had finally staggered to a tired, belated end. Lennon's personal journey through the '70s found its apex in Imagine, with its messages condemning hypocrisy and the abuse of power. Most of all, it was a plea for peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. And then there was that cold, awful Monday night, 30 years ago in December. We were as one, united in shock and sadness. Millions stopped there in everything and mourned a silent voice. Everybody said. Lennon's death was the beginning of the 80s, a downward spiral of self-absorption and greed. Yet decades later, there is a fierce pride in remembering those ideals he cherished, ideals we continue to need. You know, death hurts not the victim, but those who remain behind. It is the spaces in life that ache. And that Sunday morning following his death, his widow asked only for 10 minutes of silence. We acknowledge the loss of John Lennon. Like so many others, I cried out of empathy for his family and the selfish pain of loss. But mostly I prayed. May this pioneer of dreams become part of the human spirit he so positively changed, and so, at last, find peace. And we acknowledge the loss of John Lennon 30 years ago by extinguishing the first of the ceremonial candles. How ironic that John Lennon once sang, "Come together over me." And here we are, together. Do you know how rare this is? Do you know how rare it is to have a gift like this, to get over 1,000 people from a spectrum of spiritual paths together in community? We are charged by spirit and the gift of this earth to take care of each other, to feed each other on many levels, to sustain each other. It took a community of volunteers, performers, and crew to create this event. People working hard for you. Appreciate them. Appreciate this event. Don't take it for granted. And I want you to focus your intent upon that while I light this community candle. Tonight we celebrate the highest common denominators that all faiths share. Let us remember our ancestry as humans by intoning one of mankind's oldest sacred seed syllables, the Om. If you're agnostic, just hum along. Om.